Okay, so Shelly and I are here today to talk about the potential, well, we're going to do this, the Maine statewide student textbook survey. I should introduce myself. I'm Krystie Wilfong. I'm from Bates College. I do collections and scholarly communication, so that's where I kind of enter the scene for open education. Shelly and I have been working for quite some time on open projects in general, and we have this survey to bring to you today. Um, I will go through the slides and then Shelly and I are here for answering questions. So if I'm on the right, okay, I just click it. Okay, so I think the people in the room probably know what a textbook, student textbook survey is, but if you aren't necessarily familiar with it, these are statewide surveys that they've done in a number of different states, and it addresses textbook affordability with students. So asking questions like how much did you pay for your textbooks? How much did the cost of textbooks impact your studies, your life, everything? So these are just a few examples. There are many, many more. Most notably, Florida started out in Florida, but we would be adding ourselves to this great list of states doing this kind of work. So how do we get here? Why are we here in front of you? So this idea to do a statewide survey came out of an open education discussion group, which we have through MLA, the Academic Interest Group. We had a get together called Making Connections with OER Retreat with Heather Blitcher that happened last year, August 7th, 2024. We presented to the group, Shelly and I presented to the group saying that we would like to do this student textbook survey for the state of Maine. Everybody was on board. We reached out to Bayview Analytics, which is a consultant that a lot of other states have used. And then they provided us with a quote for doing that work. We then collaborated with NEBI, so the New England Board of Higher Education, to do a letter of intent campaign because we needed to get funding. So we wanted to show that there was enough interest within the state. So some of you may remember that. So letters of intent to all the chief academic officers at each of the institutions in the state of Maine to say that if we received funding, that they would support doing the survey on their campus. And we were able to get 15 out of 26 schools signed on to doing that. So we have the LOAs for each of those institutions. Then Shelly and I went out there, we did some footwork. We tried very hard to get funding from local foundations and the like, and we're very unsuccessful. And it was a little sad, I would say. I think we just kind of came to the conclusion that it was just not going to happen. But then enter a couple of weeks ago, Shelly and I had a meeting with NEBI again in August 26th, almost like a year later, 2025. And they basically at the end of that meeting offered us $20,000 to be able to do the project, but with the caveat of it has to be finished by November of 2026. Because we said we would need time. We can't just do this semester. We can't do it in the winter. Our ideal would be to do it next fall. So we reconnected with Bayview Analytics and they said yes, and that the timeline still worked for them and that they would provide assistance in getting this off the ground. Again, they've done this kind of survey work in other states, so they're familiar with it. And as long as we used a certain set of survey, they can make it, survey questions, they can make this work. So we started reinvigorating this conversation about the project to try to get at least the same level of interest as before. Currently, we're 11 out of 26, so we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. That's why we're here talking to you guys. These are the current institutions that are interested in participating. I'll leave this up here so people can read it really quick. We hope to get more community colleges on board in the complete system. We also want to get a smaller working group started. So this would be the group that the scope of work is to collaborate on a final report and any other materials produced for the results of this project. So I'd assume this would be like a presentation. And I do have experience doing this kind of work. So Shelly and I would kind of be the lead on a lot of that kind of stuff. Right now, this is the interest that we have for the working group. We want a diverse range of people on this group, showing all different levels of the academic landscape. So hopefully we can get somebody from the community college to represent here as well. Here's the timeline. So September to about next August, it's really various survey prep. We're kind of going through the paces of getting everything in order. Colby has already signed on for being the IRP of record. So thank you, Colby, for doing that. Uh, we'll do an orientation Zoom. So anybody that's participating, we're all on the same page. We know what we have to do and the next steps that we have to get accomplished before next fall. Then in September of 2026, we would run the survey, hopefully open for a 3-week period. October would be around the time that Bayview, and they're going to probably start that in September, but around this time, they're going to start looking through the data and being able to provide us with the report. So it's going to be an aggregate report, and then also each institution would have their own report of the findings from the survey. And then November, December would be our timeline for kind of starting to write the paper and any kind of presentation that goes along with this. So our next steps, like I said, we want to get somebody from a community college to be represented on the working group. And we want to get your institution on board with this project. So if you didn't see your name on the one participating slide, we want to kind of know what would it take to get you on board with doing this. And I might just leave it there and stop sharing my screen and see everybody again.
I'm sorry. Just to jump in, I was under the impression that we had submitted a signed letter. So, I will check on that if that's not, if that did not come through for some reason.
So the letter of intent that was just to get funding, and we now have the funding. So now it's in earnest.
Okay, I'm
Are
so
you
sorry.
participating
Okay.
in the survey?
Okay.
Because what we would need to, this is important, is a lead contact, right? That's the person that's going to the orientation. That's the person that's going to do the footwork that you need on your institution. One thing that I realized I didn't mention, and I'll be more specific now, is the gold standard with these surveys is to get them emailed directly to students, which does take time to get on the calendar to be able to do that. I know at my institutional research department, there's a calendar and you have to get on that well in advance to be able to send it directly to anybody, but specifically students, it's kind of a hard thing to do. So we understand that, and that's why we have a year. And part of the planning is getting partners across campus on board with the work that you're doing.
Yeah, and Lauren, I think too that we wanted to just start again because it may be that the chief academic officer who signed the letter of intent at your institution or anybody's institution a year ago is no longer the chief academic officer. So just
That is the case. Thanks.
yeah, so just wanting to reconnect with everyone so that you could reconnect with your, CAO or whoever it is to make sure that people are still on board. So we didn't want to guarantee that the 15 we had originally that is the same group.
Yeah, Siobhan.
Is there any way, so I'm brand new, and so this is
Sure.
all very new. Is there like a package or a set of a PDF where I can present this to our chief operating officer so that we can actually go through, and I'm pretty sure we'll be on board with it, but I need all the back history to
For
catch up.
sure. Shelly and I can provide you with what that letter of intent look like, because all the information's within it. It basically describes what we're doing, what other states have done, what we're trying to replicate, and what the end product will look like. So we can definitely share that with you. In fact, Siobhan, I don't think I have your contact information.
No, today was my first day.
Oh my gosh. Well, welcome. Sorry about that.
No, don't even worry about it. Everyone's like, oh, by the way, you have this meeting at 2. I was like, okay.
Well, I'm very excited to meet you then.
But yeah, if you could
And
just
congratulations.
drop your email address in the chat, we'll
Okay, I'll do
right
that.
out. Thank you and welcome.
Uh, Speaking just strictly for myself, I use a lot of open educational material in the classes that I teach. So personally, I'm interested in this. But I would need to see the packet of information and take it to our leadership. Um, I'm If we do choose to do that, I would uh, go along and be your rep here at Northern Maine Community College.
I realize now that I don't have my inventory of contacts. 1 second.
So the person who was just speaking, that's okay, great. Sorry, that's Harold, right? Harold Kierstead, Northern Maine Community College.
That's me.
Okay.
I show up as JR at some Harold Jr. and I use this account primarily to work with students, and most of the students here know me as JR.
Okay, gotcha.
So it sounds like maybe a lot of people want to see like the packet. So like basically the LOI, which outlines this. Not that it needs to be signed. It doesn't need to be signed anymore. That's gone. We have the funding now, and we want to proceed. But we just again we need a main contact, and then we and a yes, so we can add you to the list and make sure that everybody's in the communication going forward. So I think, Daisy, if it's okay, then maybe I send it to you and you can send it out to your mail list. Okay.
And you said, Krystie, all that you need really is just a yes, or you do need a letter?
Just a yes will do. The LOI just has the information. Basically, just use that as an informational document, but it's all done.
It also occurs to me, we'll of course share it on the director's listserv, but I think you shared it on the OER one. Have you shared it on the interest group one from Maine Academic Libraries?
Just the discussion group. So not the academic interest group yet.
So I don't mind posting it on ours, but I think that will catch a lot more people also, so you might want to do that too.
I'm gonna make sure I don't miss any of these chats with people's contacts.
Yeah, I grabbed them too, Krystie. So
Oh, thank you. Great. Any other questions? So the one thing I would say about the survey, and maybe I'm speaking to a choir right now, but it will never be as easy as it is right now. The cost of the survey is $20,000.